Alright everyone, now we need to talk about a Juan Williams piece actually. Juan Williams is best known for being the punching bag bobblehead liberal on the Five for several years, and then he left Fox News. Now he does, I think, a shitty podcast, and he does op-eds, so we'll get right into this. This is actually an interesting article. Well, a single paragraph of it is interesting. Juan Williams, chaos beckons if the MAGA GOP wins. I hate to tell you this, Juan, but they already have. To be clear, your worst fears have become reality. MAGA is subsuming the entire understory of the Republican Party. You don't like that because insurrection and stupidity like that. I think it's a good thing. It's the restoration of a Republican Party that actually believes in some semblance of populism. I don't see this as a bad thing. He even invokes populism actually several times in his article, just to be clear. Let me read one paragraph out here, and this is actually from the Washington Post. It's related here by Williams in his piece, his fear-mongering hit piece against the idea of MAGA that he's been impotently railing against now for several years. So far, voters have chosen 8 candidates for the U.S. Senate, 86 candidates for the House, 5 for governor, 4 for state attorney general, and 1 for secretary of state who embraced Trump's election denialism. In other words, you're saying that a significant proportion of Congress, numerous state leaders at various levels, are going to be MAGA. This is an anti-black pill video for those of you who believe in ultra-MAGA, as I do, and don't want populism to go away. We want the government to actually represent Americans. I don't know that this is an extremist proposition, but apparently Juan Williams believes so. He's a globalist, like most liberals and a significant proportion of the conservatives, so-called, the John McCain types, Liz Cheney, people like that, Kissinger there. Here's the thing. This is an anti-black pill. You're spelling it all out for people that are watching this channel especially, so thank you very much for the heads up. A significant proportion of all of the Republicans in Congress and in state houses will be MAGA Republicans come the midterms. Again, I don't see what the problem is. Why the fuck would I think this a bad thing? I think it's a good thing. The alternative is a bunch of globalistic neocons that genuinely believe that the American people shouldn't be represented by the government that they themselves fucking pay for. This is the liberal line too, and Juan Williams, again, is part of that. He's talking about Kevin McCarthy. Oh my God, Sarah Palin is going to be in the House of Representatives. I am not a Sarah Palin fan. I remember her quite fondly from yesteryears being the chick that was hunting mooses and doing weird shit on reality TV. But it's better than the alternative. Yes, a reality TV star, and one-term governor, I believe, maybe 2 terms, who is best known for refrigerating moose meat, is a better alternative than many of the Republicans currently sitting in Congress. I see that as an improvement. Again, not a fan of Sarah Palin in many ways. I do believe she can be a bit disingenuous, but even that, blighted as though it may be, is better than the alternative. See, the GOP is actually making inroads into trying to reform itself. It's attempting to represent people's interests. The cucks in the U.S. Senate aside, on gun control of course, at least that's something that Sarah Palin and I would definitely agree upon. She has quite a stack of ammunition in her home. I don't think it's all hunting rifles either. More powerful than the AR-15 she certainly possesses. What's the problem here? 86 members of the House could be MAGA Republicans. That's great. I just wish it was more. I remember the Trump era, despite all of these calls constantly by people like Juan Williams about chaos, insurrection, civil war will break out, dogs and cats living together, oh my God, it's raining men, hallelujah. All of these hyperbolic claims about what will happen if MAGA comes back, as though it ever left. It's been growing over the last few years at a fairly steady clip, Juan. Have you paid attention to any of the state or local races that have been happening over the last 2 years? Actually, over the last 4 years, really, the movement is growing rapidly. Part of this is because your boy, Joe Biden, has failed completely. Part of it is because it just seems that D.C. and many state houses are out of touch with people's desires, and that ties into the economic situation. It's not entirely Biden's fault, but having someone that attacks your own energy industry when you really, really need gas and oil, Largely unhelpful, not necessarily the greatest thing optically or pragmatically that you could be doing. It's been growing at a steady clip. I'd be surprised if most of these races didn't go in the MAGA direction. Did you see Mo Brooks just got knocked off, everyone? By an overwhelming majority. There will be no runoff or anything like that. Mo Brooks is now out. He had Trump's endorsement initially. Then he decided to stab Trump in the back, and Trump said, "Fuck you," and endorsed his opponent, and she won more than 50% of the vote. MAGA is inevitable. I believe that we're seeing the third act here. It's sort of a return of the, not to be cringe here, sort of a return of the Jedi or return of the King situation. I believe that Trump will be back in mainline politics in not that many months. He'll wait till after the midterms to see what happens there. Defortification is happening. You have the liberals are up in arms right now about the Republicans in New Mexico, of all places. It's not exactly a red state at this point. They're terrified of that too. They're terrified of what's going on in Texas and in Virginia and in a dozen other states. I think that this is good myself. Ultra MAGA, by the way, can I please opine something here? Semi-related, of course. Do you really think that it's a good idea to use Ultra MAGA as an anti-MAGA slogan? That's really effective? The average person, you're casting off people that believe in populism, people that liked Trump and still do in most cases. You're casting them off as extreme. But then you're using a term that supposedly represents extremism. Ultra America first. Again, I don't know that that's really extreme in an objective sense, but you're claiming that it is. You're using that as the moniker for the current Republican Party movement. Would people not just embrace it more? Ultra MAGA sounds better than regular MAGA. Yeah, it's like, okay, MAGA was a cup of coffee. Now we've got a triple shot espresso. I want my heart to stop. I don't see the problem with this. I'm very glad that people like Boebert are in Congress. I don't have to agree with all of the things that they peddle. For instance, I'm pro-choice. I have no problem with gay people. I do believe in environmentalism, although not the liberal NIMBYist version. I think if you're going to build windmills, it should be in your community too, and you shouldn't be bitching about it with your local housing authority. But despite my disagreements with them, I look at the other side, and I do believe in going beyond the two-party dichotomy, just to be clear. But I look at the other side that has set itself up in opposition to Ultra MAGA. So Ultra MAGA, I get lower taxes. I don't have to worry about my guns being hazarded. I can defend myself. Hopefully we get nationwide castle doctrine and stand your ground. I think that'd be a good thing. We get, the hyper-religious side of things, which I don't support, and there is moralism that's begun to creep back into the movement. This tends to happen as movements get older. They start off more libertarian if they're outside of the political mainstream, and then they become less libertarian over time. I'm not happy about that. It will eventually degrade the current populist movement. This is inevitable over the next 20 years, but it's still in its infancy compared to the neoliberals. Shit, they're still dating to the 1980s, so there's a difference. Despite those problems, though, I look at the other side. And I see we're going to be soft on crime, unless that crime has something to do with sociopolitics. Then we're going to throw the book at you and keep you in solitary for the rest of your life. We're going to peddle war, Bush style, selling weapons to people and fomenting various problems in the world. We're going to lock down the economy at a whim, for political reasons largely, and be corrupt in that sense. We're going to support, crazy dictators. We're going to oversee an open border. We're going to tax you more. While there's an inflationary cycle going on, by the way. Which of these sides is objectively better for me as an American citizen at this time? Well, it's the MAGA side. I can deal with a little bit of moralism. I'll still reject it and I'll still argue against it. I'm going to say, look, I don't have a problem with women getting abortions. I don't care if people are gay. I don't want to sexualize literature for small children. Another blot on the liberals at this particular time. But I can deal with that. It's manageable. I can't deal with what's going on in the Democratic Party right now. It's not manageable. Everything is screwed up. Even on the issues that I would tacitly generally agree with them, like on abortion. Why do you think the Republicans fucking forced the issue? It's because of Northam and morons like him effectively legalizing post-birth abortion. I hate to say it, but that is not a hyperbolic line. I've looked into it myself. Oh yeah, if the baby's delivered, but it's kind of fucked up, the mother doesn't want it, just rip its head off. I'm not comfortable with that, and I'm as pro-choice as they come. I have no problem with gay people getting married. I don't care if you have your pride parade, but I don't think that 5-year-olds should be read sexually explicit literature. So on this issue, although I would generally side with the left, generally speaking, again, sides being loosely used as a term, on the issue, I do not want to ban gay marriage. I don't care if you're a lesbian. I don't care what you get up to in your bedroom and so forth, and your pride flag doesn't offend me. But you've gone so far beyond that reasonable proposition that now you want small children to be taught about anal sex. So the left is effectively taking the issues on which somebody like me, who I like to think I'm reasonably sane. I think that semi-sane is probably a good descriptor. You're taking issues on which I would generally not side with MAGA, populism, conservatives in general, again, loose term. And you're going so far beyond any reckoning of sanity with regards to those issues that I end up siding with a bunch of fucking evangelicals. Don't you people understand what you're fucking goddamn doing? You're the exact opposite of the liberalism of yesteryear. That was anti-war. Now you're like, hey, bomb the Russians. Let's start World War III. Before it was, hey, gay people should be able to get a state marriage license for basically a property contract and for medical proxy purposes. Now you're saying if your kid in school is not taught about dicks in asshole, that there's something bigoted, something wrong about you. Well, of course Ultra MAGA is rising up. You're crazy. And you don't even realize. And Juan Williams doesn't even believe in much of this shit. He's a standard NPR cup sweater liberal. And he's still pounding that same drum. It's very, very sad to see how far the kind of mighty have fallen. But I do like the anti-black pill in here. 86 people in the House of Representatives might be MAGA Republicans after the midterms. Let's get 86 more of them. I'm perfectly fine with that. Sounds great to me. That's about all. Peace out.